Look at Al-Imam Al-Rida, salawatullah wa salamu alayh. What does he say in one of his ahadith? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is a riwayah mentioned by a Shaykh al-Suduq, Ridwanullah ta'ala alayh. He says that Imam al-Rida said in part of his statement, Inna yawm al-Husayn aqraha jufunana. The day of Hussein, of Ashura, had caused our eyelids to bleed. Not tears, but blood. You know, he says, because of our continuous crying for Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, it caused lacerations in our eyelid. Ask doctors, can excessive crying cause such a condition? So that we understand the hadith also in light of science, right? So we do not question it, right? Because there is a trend today to question everything that we say, right? Everything, this is weak, mawdu', not credible, fabricated. What have you left to us in terms of hadith? What have you left to us in terms of hadith? If everything we mention is fabricated, everything we mention is weak, there is someone in the lane of narrations that God knows where he came from. And then what? Nothing will be left from religion, right or wrong? Nothing. Although I'm not saying accept weak hadith, right? Or accept fabricated hadith, right? But I'm saying there are certain standards within our religion that are not questionable because they've already been endorsed. Right? They've already been endorsed, verified, and in light of the Quran itself. So the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, in that regard, he says about the day of Ashura, it is something that has caused laceration. The hadith says, Inna yawm al-Husayn, that Imam salawatullah, Imam Rida said, Inna al-Muharram kana shahran, أو كان شهر كان أهل الجاهلية يحرمون فيه القتال. In the month of Muharram, the Jahiliyyah people used to sit and stop fighting during that month out of respect to the sanctity of that month. Then Imam al-Rida says, salawatullahi wa salamu alayh, فَاسْتُحِلَّتْ فِيهِ دِمَاؤُنَا. No, we don't talking about the Jahiliyyah. Our own people, so-called own people, they violated the sanctity of this month and they spilled our blood in it. فَاسْتُحِلَّتْ فِيهِ دِمَاءُ وَهُتِكَتْ فِيهِ حُرُمَتُنَا. And our honor was violated. وَسُبِيَ فِيهِ ذَرَارِينَا. And our women folk were taken as what? Prisoners of war. وَأُضْرِمَتِ النَّارُ فِي مَضَارِبِنَا. And fire was lit in our homes. وَانْتُهِبَ مَا فِيهَا مِنْ ثِقْلِنَا. And it was looted in terms of what remains from our mother and father, referring to Imam Ali and to Sayyida Zahra salawatullahi wasalam, until he comes to this part. He says, Inna yawm al-Husayn aqraha jufunana wa asbala dumu'ana. It caused lacerations to our eyes. It made us, cry profusely. Wa azalla azizana. And it humiliated our proud ones, or our proud one. Who knows who is the Imam referring to when he says it humiliated the proud one among us? He's not talking about Imam Hussein. He's not talking about the companions. He's talking about a particular individual that came out of the tent on the day of Ashura with her hands on her head and calling to the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, لقد قتل حسينك اليوم في كربلاء. He's talking about Sayyidah Zainab, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayha. This is what the Imam was referring to about Sayyidah Zainab, that she is the one that became humiliated on the day of Ashura. Look, the love that Imam had by his grandfather Rasulullah is surpassing. There is a riwayah that our Sunni brothers relate in their book. They say one day the Prophet was at the mosque, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. He heard the cries of Imam Hussein coming from the door of Fatima. He went to the door of Fatima, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, and stood outside the door. He said, Ya Fatima askiti. Oh Fatima, quieted him down. Oh Fatima, attend to Hussein. Why ya Rasulullah? He said, فَإِنَّ صَوْتَ بُكَائِهِ يُؤْذِينِي. I cannot bear to hear the sound and the voice of his cries. I say, Ya Rasulullah, where were you when his ribs were crushed under the hooves of the horses? Ya Rasulullah, where were you when the lances penetrated his sides, Ya Rasulullah, to see what happened to your Hussein, that you were unable to bear simple cries from him as a child? Ya Rasulullah, where were you when Hussein salawatullah wa salamu alayhi was lying on the plains of Karbala and Shimr was riding on his chest, wanting to sever his jugular veins from one end to the other? Ya Rasulullah, Ya Abul Qasim, if only you were there on the plains of Karbala when your daughter Zainab came to her brother when he was breathing his last, when Umar ibn Sa'ad was looking at the battlefield and Hussein was sitting like we sit in tashahhud, unable to stay up from the wounds that he had sustained. She came to him, she placed him on her chest. At that moment, Imam Hussein was almost subconscious in that moment, brothers. She said, أقسمت عليك يا ابن أمي إلا كلمتني. I take the oath of Allah on you, O the son of my mother, that you would open your eyes and speak to me. There was no response by Hussein. She said, I take an oath by the name of Muhammad that you open your eyes and speak to me. No response. I take an oath on you that you speak to me, your darling sister, by the name of Ali. But there was no response until she mentioned the secret word, the heartbreaker. She said, أقسمت عليك بأمنا الزهراء إلا ما كلمتني. I take an oath on you, oh my beloved, that you speak to me by the name of Zahra. You know what Arbabul Majalis they say, or Al-Maqtal, those people who witnessed what was happening, they said all of a sudden Abi Abdullah opened his eyes. He said, لَقَدْ زِدْتِنِي هَمًّا إِلَىٰ هَمِّي. You have added to my sorrows. Oh Zainab, why are you taking the name of Fatima? Yes, Fatima was crushed. Yes, Fatima was attacked. But momentarily, oh Zainab, if few ribs of your mother were broken, all the ribs of Hussein will be crushed. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un.